For a man who is obsessed with ratings, President Trump's are not great right now. Just 34% of Americans approve of the job that he is doing. 57% disapprove. And his credibility is an issue. Just 36% of Americans say the president is honest. Almost 59% say that he is not. CNN political analyst and Princeton University professor Julian Selitzer joins me now. Also with us, CNN politics reporter Eugene Scott in Washington. Julian, let's start with you. President Richard Nixon and Bill Clinton both face impeachment proceedings, or Nixon was about to. Despite that, he won re-election with 520 electoral votes, the biggest electoral college win ever. And Clinton had some of his highest approval ratings during the whole Monica Lewinsky controversy. Yet right now, President Trump's approval ratings are about as low as they've ever been, and he's not really getting on base with any of his agenda.
Yes, I mean, well, Nixon, the scandal doesn't unfold until after the 72 election, right. So there is some time and his approval declines. And it's true, Bill Clinton became more popular after this scandal unfolded. In the case of Nixon, of course, you didn't have united government. And so that made the dynamics a little bit different. You had Democrats controlling Capitol Hill, whereas today you have united government, and generally Republicans, although a little more critical, have been very reticent about going after the president.
And Eugene, I did want to ask you, what exactly is it going to take for some Republicans to start peeling away? Do you foresee that happening, or do you see them going all in with the president in spite of, again, him not getting on base with his agenda and this Russia thing not going away anytime soon?
I think it's important that we pay attention to the midterm elections, which are coming up next year sooner than later. If we see Republican lawmakers have trouble with their constituents because of their association with the president and his agenda, and it's not being able to bring forth all of the things that voters hoped he would when they voted for him, I think we are going to see some people speak out against the president and against Republican lawmakers.
Now, Julian and Eugene, I want you to stand by because we do have some breaking news about Jeff Sessions' testimony on Tuesday. There's word now that senators are concerned that the Attorney General is trying to avoid testifying publicly. Let's bring in CNN senior congressional reporter Manu Raju. He joins us now over the phone. Manu, what have you learned?
Hey, Boris, a source familiar with the situation tells me that they're uncertain about whether or not to allow Jeff Sessions to testify in a private session on Tuesday before the Senate Intelligence Committee. Now, this decision by Senator Sessions to offer his testimony on Tuesday, which came Saturday evening, really caught members on both sides by surprise. They were not expecting that to happen. Sessions, of course, was scheduled to testify publicly before the Senate and House Appropriations Committees to discuss the Justice Department's budget. And in those appearances, he was almost certainly going to be quizzed about Russia, and as well as his conversations with the Russian ambassador Sergei Kislyak, and whether or not he properly disclosed a third interaction has become a source of interest among the Senate Intelligence Committee. But Sessions' his offer to testify to the Senate Intelligence Committee instead has prompted some concerns, even from the top Democrat on the committee, Mark Warner, who these members are concerned that Sessions may be trying to skirt public scrutiny of the Russia issue and try to testify instead in private. As a result, there is significant deliberations that are happening behind the scenes among members about whether or not to allow Sessions to testify at all on Tuesday, and whether or not to allow this to happen in an open session or a closed session, or maybe do what Comey did last week, which was to testify in open and a closed session. So these discussions are ongoing. They're expected to take shape tomorrow when members return back to Washington. Earlier today, Boris, a Justice Department official told me they do expect that to be a classified private session when Sessions does testify, but they said the decision is ultimately up to the Senate Intelligence Committee. But from what I'm hearing tonight, Boris, those decisions have not been made because concerns that Sessions may be trying to avoid public scrutiny about his involvement in the Russia issue, Boris.
Some excellent reporting there from Manu Raju, reporting that senators were surprised by Sessions' offer to testify to the Senate Intelligence Committee and that they fear that he may be doing it to avoid testifying publicly. Manu, Thank you. Back to you, Eugene and Julian. Eugene, I'm interested in getting your response to this news.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought is if it in fact happens that Sessions is not required to testify publicly, the rumor mill is going to go out of control. I think people, the American people who voted, are very interested in hearing this and want to know what happens. If he wants to stay in control of his narrative and be able to stand by things that he said publicly, it will be in his best interest to put those quotes before the people who voted for Trump, opposed to doing things privately.
And Julian, isn't the perception that if he has nothing to hide, he's better off doing this publicly?
No, that's absolutely correct. I mean, so much of this scandal has unfolded because the administration says one thing and then we learn something else, and Sessions and others have hidden their contacts. And so this is one of those moments where public accountability might actually help the administration if there really is nothing to hide. But by doing this, he will only fuel the narrative that this administration is not being straight and that he doesn't want to reveal the contacts in public.
Especially because he was forced to apologize for having some undisclosed meetings with the Russian ambassador, Sergei Kislyak. Eugene and Julian, we appreciate you guys sticking with us through the breaking news. Thank you.